All right, we're heading into week 10 of the NFL season. Luke and Luca here again. And this past week, tight ends really went off. Like, there were so many highlights, whether it be Mike Gesicki making a couple of insane one-handed catches. You've got young guys stepping up like Pat Fryermuth on Monday Night Football with 2 touchdown catches. There's Travis Kelce. There's Darren Waller. There's CJ Uzomah who's come out of nowhere. It really seems like the past few weeks, and especially last week, tight ends are really stepping in the spotlight. So I think there's no better time to do this exercise than right now. I want you to build your perfect tight end. Let's start with hands. Who are you picking for your ultimate tight end? If you can create one, whose hands are you taking?
I'm taking Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is my class. I've watched him a bunch. We played Philly, it seemed like quite a bit when I was in Seattle. I just find the way Zach catches the ball is very, very silky. Like, it's very smooth. It's not a forced ordeal. Even the tough catches, some of the one-handers that he's made, he just looks so fluid doing it where it's almost like he makes it look easy. There are a bunch of guys that have great hands at tight end, but I think Ertz's hands right now, they're consistent, and he makes all the tough ones look very easy. He's caught so many balls that if something doesn't go his way, he's right back. If we're starting with hands, I'm going with Zach Ertz.
589 career receptions, and he's got 1 touchdown since coming over to Arizona, but that was a big deal for their offense, especially when their tight end Max Williams went down. Replacing him with a Pro Bowl guy like Zach Ertz only adds another dimension to this offense, and it'll be exciting to see when Kyler Murray gets back what that connection looks like with some more practice and more chemistry as we head into the playoffs here. Let's move on to blocking, because this is also a huge part of what tight ends do, and maybe an underrated part of what they do because the NFL is such a pass-happy league now.
You want a blocking guy that's going to get the job done? Look up Lee Smith. Lee Smith is a tight end he's been around now, been on quite a few teams, but as far as just like grittiness, grimy, like being able to go in there and really handle whoever's thrown at him, I think Lee Smith is the guy. Like, of my generation, if you will, which again, maybe not this year Lee Smith, but if I'm allowed to go back, let's call it 5 years, I would say that Lee Smith is the blocking guy.
I'll allow it. I'll definitely allow it. And just looking up some of his numbers, has never had more than 100 yards in a season, but he's played in a ton of games, and that tells you his value is clearly blocking. When you watch him, and you said you've watched him obviously for a long time, what sticks out about just his blocking ability that makes him so special in your mind?
So Lee's a few years older than me, but he also went to Marshall, which was in the same conference as my college, Rice University. So I've been watching Lee at Marshall in the pros for a long time, but even at Marshall, like, I remember being 20, 21 years old, and Lee Smith was kind of the tight end of the conference, and as a youngster, that was the guy you were chasing a bit. 1, he's very stout. 2, he's definitely not a dirty player, but he's a whistle-to-whistle guy. He just seems to really be able to hold on and then finish his blocks. He's kind of nasty. And like I said, not dirty. I don't want to give that attitude to Lee at all, but he's just like a very physical, always kind of finish guys, put them in the ground within the whistles. Really getting under people's skin out there. As a blocking guy, I know he's not a household name, but as a blocking guy, I think that he's like you said, he's playing a million games, barely counting balls. If I can create a tight end, he's got to be the guy.
I love it. Put some respect on Lee Smith's name. Let's move on to our final 2 traits. One is athleticism, because there are some freak athletes at the tight end position, whether you want to talk about Kyle Pitts, who's been used out wide, but you also have guys like Darren Waller, like George Kittle. They hurdle people in the open field. Like, tight ends, when you think of traditional NFL tight ends, they're not supposed to do that. So athleticism-wise, who you got your eye on?
Darren Waller, 100%. I was fortunate enough to spend a camp in Oakland with Darren Waller. I remember sitting there, and at the time, he hadn't had a breakout year. And going into that camp, they were like, yeah, he was in Baltimore for a little bit. He started as a wideout, moving to tight end. Like, is he a wideout? Is he a tight end? He was on Baltimore's practice squad, and the Raiders scooped him up in that camp. It was like day in and day out, just a freak show. Even that offseason, this was pre-COVID, we had a full, offseason into OTA schedule. In the weight room, it was like the amount of weight he was lifting, moving. The only other guy that I would say that could compare to him that I played with was Jimmy Graham. Jimmy, when I was with Jimmy, was at the older side of his career, where Waller was just the younger, but Waller really reminded me of Jimmy, just like an absolute freak show, athletically, for not having a ton of time playing the position. Athleticism, it's got to be Darren Waller to me.
Let's finish off with route running because you can't catch the ball unless you're running some good routes. And tight ends are unique, obviously, because the fact that you guys have size, that combination of size, speed, and it makes you a matchup nightmare. Route running is obviously a very important part of that because you're able to use your size and use your quickness and speed to win those one-on-one matchups, to find those spots in the zone. Which guy do you look at right now and admire their route running as far as your ultimate tight end goes?
Not a surprise here. I think a lot of people would agree with me. I'm going to go with Travis Kelce for this. In that offense in Kansas City, it's really allowed him to just open up that side of his game. When he was younger, he was still making plays, but now it's like he is pretty much a wide receiver out there at a lot of times. He still puts his hand down, he's blocking. I'm not taking that away from him. But like they'll put Travis Kelce, they'll split him out wide, they'll put him in the slot, and they're not, for me back in the day, if I'm in the slot, usually I'm running a seam or a one cut, 10 yard in, 10 yard out, like keeping it pretty simple. Where like he'll be out here running some stuff, corner posts, making that double cut when you've got a guy that's 250 pounds plus. Trust me, I know here. The double cut stuff is not easy for us big boys. So to see Kelce really, I've seen him run some stick returns all the time, stick nods. Like he's doing some of the more complex routes and really getting in and out of his breaks. I got to give the nod to Travis Kelce. I mean, I think the guy's an incredible route runner.
Luke, always a pleasure talking tight ends and football with you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Luca. I had a blast today.